They've proven to us that they're willing to do nothing.
Tonight, our team talks to the lawmakers facing mounting pressure to increase public school funding.
We're in a situation that's very tough.
A KXAN analysis found that most Central Texas districts are facing budget deficits and having to make difficult decisions over what to cut.
You're looking at some of these things, they're devastating.
I'm education reporter Nabil Ramadna.
And I'm KXAN investigator Kelly Wiley. You're watching Texas in the Red.
The programs that we care about are possibly going to have to be left behind if we don't fix this budget crisis. God forbid we don't get a raise this year. I mean, with the inflation as it is and cost of living in Austin, who doesn't get a raise and who doesn't need a raise just to be able to raise their own kids?
I was asked today to provide an update on the state of public education. For about the next 5 years or so, total student enrollment in the state will essentially be flat, and with it ADA and many of the things that drive total cost of the school finance system. While we have the highest teacher salaries that we've ever had in raw dollars, inflation has been wiping out their wages and wage gain just like it has everybody else's.
We're dealing with a perfect storm, right? We never have gotten back to our attendance pre-pandemic.
Insurance costs go up, utility costs go up, every single thing, including salaries, has gone up. What I essentially am doing now as we move forward is making sure that we're insulated and not relying on what the state legislature may do, because they've proven to us that they're willing to do nothing.
And every day counts. Like every day a student is going home with less resources. We have to act with a sense of urgency.
What is your feeling, though, on all these districts that are passing deficit budgets going into the next school year?
Well, yes, I think they're difficult situations financially, of course, and it's certainly a result of negotiations that did not finalize in the last legislative session. I mean, we have the money approved in the budget for billions of dollars in addition for public schools.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to pass the bill that authorized the spending of that money because the governor insisted it be tied to a universal voucher.
Billions of dollars are sitting there. Superintendents and teacher organizations were testifying in committee, we'd rather not have it if school choice were to pass. 6 million public school kids, 40,000 education savings accounts. It's not a mandate. It's not mandatory that they go to a private school or use a school choice alternative. It's an option, and kids need options. Moms and dads need options.
The superintendents that I've spoken to seem to believe that even though this money was on the table, money that they have said that they need and want, that a school choice program would in some ways create funding issues for them anyway.
We had hold harmless provisions that still gave those districts the same funding as if those students were to remain in their seats, right?
For a limited time, right? It wouldn't have lasted.
Our budget's every 2 years. We try not to obligate ourselves forever in the future because we don't know. But a lot of the superintendents, they didn't realize that till after session. That's why they're coming to me now saying, can we get that deal back that was on the table when session ended? Because that actually was a good deal.
What superintendents are you hearing from who are saying that to you?
I've been to conferences with 300, 350 superintendents at a time, and I've had superintendents standing in line 30, 40 deep. I didn't know every superintendent in the room, so I'm not sure exactly what districts they were from, but it happened.
The situation arises again where it's school choice or funding. What do you plan to do?
I'm still weighing the opinions of the new members coming in. I'm trying to listen. And we haven't made those decisions yet.
If vouchers is tied to more school funding, what do you do?
We are about 3 votes down in our effort to defeat vouchers because the governor took out the Republicans, many of the Republicans who were opposed to vouchers. Every family needs to do what's best for them. But when you start asking the taxpayer to foot the bill for schools where there's no accountability, and there's no requirement that these private schools even take these students, shouldn't we ensure that our kids can access the best education they can at our neighborhood public schools when those are the schools that everyone is entitled to go to?
In 2019, under House Bill 3, Texas lawmakers increased a major source of funding, the basic allotment. School districts began getting $6,160 per student from the state, but the legislature has not increased the basic allotment in the 5 years since then, through a pandemic, inflation, and a historic teacher shortage.
Central Texas school leaders say they need at least a $1,000 increase to the basic allotment just to restore the purchasing power they had in 2019. But in lawmakers' most recent proposals to increase it, most proposed to raise the allotment by less than $100. And even those attempts failed.
I was shocked, honestly. I mean, I was shocked when they were talking about $50, $100. You know what $100 will do?
What do you think the basic allotment needs to come up to?
Well, I think in our budget we had a $65 to $70 increase in the basic allotment. But again, with the teacher pay raises, for most districts that number was really a $350 basic allotment increase. I think somewhere in between will be where we end up.
It's really that's not enough, not even close to be enough. I mean, we'll take it, obviously, we're desperate here, but like, honestly, that was not what we need. We need a lot more.
We aren't politicians, but we're having to deal with politics.
I feel like we kept, and our students are hostage until we figure out how to negotiate and come up with a deal. I don't think it should be done that way. It's an urgent matter for us to get more funding so we can take care of our students.
And a lot of times once the funding is cut, it never comes back. I just know that like any of those cuts can create some instability that's going to have a negative impact on the rest of my kids' years in the school district. And just to know that because the state's not stepping up to help with funding like it should, we would lose some of those programs we've worked so hard to build. That's very disheartening.
Some Central Texas school districts have not finalized their budgets for the school year, but some tell us they too project budget deficits.
We asked Governor Abbott's office if he'll advise lawmakers to combine these two issues again and if he feels that's the best way forward. His press secretary said, in part, the governor has provided more funding for public education than any Texas governor. He also said he would not stop until Texans have their voices heard and school choice is the law of the land. On KXAN.com, under the Investigates tab, you can explore our database showing how school districts in Central Texas and beyond are doing financially. In Austin, I'm Kelly Wiley.
And I'm Nabil Ramadna, reporting for KXAN News.